So, Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to all the participants over here. This is the lecture 16th of our English language program. It is 16th lecture, lecture 16th. We are having the 16th lecture, and in the previous day before yesterday, we were rather talking about that how to start a conversation. तो कल से पहले हमने बात की थी जो हमारा लेक्चर 15 हुआ था कि अगर आप इंग्लिश में आप बात करने लगे हैं, अगर आप कन्वर्सेशन स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं, हाउ टू स्टार्ट ए कन्वर्सेशन, और हमने वहां पे कुछ बातें की थी. वी टॉक्ड अबाउट सम ऑफ द इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स फॉर यू पीपल if you want to have a conversation with a friend or any other people, any other body whom you may know or you may not know, you want to start a conversation. We talked about some important things regarding starting a conversation. So we talked about first it should start with a greeting, and when we talked about the greeting in English, we talked about it should be according to the time. It may be good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And regarding the Kashmir, regarding our own this very Kashmir Valley, most of the we people are Muslims, and we will straight away go for the Assalamu alaikum, and then the other will come with Wa alaikum assalam. So this was the first thing. Whenever and wherever you are going to start a conversation with anybody, you have to start number one, which we talked in the earlier class or the lecture 15. I am just revising those very things in this very class, because today we are going to talk about ending of a conversation, how to end. अगर आपको अब बात हो गई है, लास्ट में आपको क्या बोलना है उस कन्वर्सेशन को खत्म करने के लिए with a pleasant note, बहुत ही अच्छा तरीके से, बहुत ही बेहतरीन तरीके से आप एंड करना चाहते हैं किसको, उस कन्वर्सेशन को. आज उसके मतलब बात कर रहे हैं, बट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट रिविजन. So first of all, that we talked about starting conversation. Point number one was that you have to start your conversation with very good greeting. So you have the choice. It is all up to you. If you want to go with the English conversation and English rules and principles, that is all up to you. You can go for good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, according to the time, what time you are actually having conversation with your friend or any other body. So if you go for the Islamic greetings, that is well accepted and that is most feasible in our particular in Kashmir Valley. It is Assalamu alaikum. So the first thing is greetings. Number second, we then after talking about that, we have to start with some simple questions, because this we are just talking about the beginners level. Then we came with some questions that how you have to ask those questions to the other person, to the next person you are talking to. It may be your friend, it may be a person you may be knowing or not knowing, you may be unknown to him or her. So you have to go with simple questions like what is your name, or where from you are, or like that. We talked about some questions in the previous class. So after discussing what you may have to discuss with him or her, you have some questions. He answered, or in which class do you read, or are you new to this school? He may say yes, I am new to the school. Or in which class you have got your admission? He will say I have got my admission in 9th or 10th or 11th, 12th, whatever it may be. So you talked for a while, you came up with some questions, and the other person he gave some answers, and you just had a very good conversation with the other person. But what is then it is the ending. You have to conclude the conversation, क्योंकि जब भी हम बात करते हैं 2 मिनट 4 मिनट 10 मिनट लास्ट में तो हमें वो खत्म करनी है ना, बट इट शुड बी ऑन ए प्लेजेंट नोट. ये बिल्कुल बेहतरीन अंदाज से होनी चाहिए, ये नहीं कि अचानक से आप कन्वर्सेशन को छोड़ दें. दैट इज नॉट द वे आउट. यू हैव टू कंक्लूड द कन्वर्सेशन विद अ गुड नोट. यू हैव टू कंक्लूड दैट कन्वर्सेशन विद अ प्लेजेंट नोट. और उसके लिए आज हम बात करने वाले हैं, we are actually going to talk about how to end a conversation. So पहले हमने greetings की, उसके बाद हमने कुछ क्वेश्चंस किए या जो भी बातचीत हमें करनी थी रिगार्डिंग आवर स्कूल, रिगार्डिंग आवर एम्प्लॉय, रिगार्डिंग आवर जॉब एंड all that, regarding our business and all that, whatever it might be. We talked about that for 2, 5 or 10 minutes, and then at last we had to depart, we had to separate, we had to conclude this very conversation, and for that very thing we have to go for an ending, and that the ending must be a very, very pleasant one, so that the other person will feel, no, the person was very polite, the person was very decent in talking with me, having conversation with me. So today we are focusing on that very ending. I have got some of the expressions or sentences. You can go for these very sentences. हालांकि इतने नहीं है, आपके पास और भी है, हजारों की तादाद में, या हम कहेंगे सैकड़ों की तादाद में expression English में है. You can use those words or sentences and you can end or you can conclude your conversation. But I have come up with some of 2, 3 most used and most decent and polite expressions when you want to have conclude your conversation with somebody. So first we have, जब आपने बातचीत सारी खत्म की, आपने बात की जो भी करनी थी आपको, it might be your colleague, it might be your friend, it might be anybody, और लास्ट में आप चाहते कि अब मैं निकलूं, अब मैं बात खत्म करना चाहता हूं. The first one is, आपको कहना है with facial expression, आपको अपने चेहरे पे एक स्माइल रखनी होती है लास्ट में भी, and you have to say it was pleasure catching up with you. Yes my dear, it was pleasure catching up with you. This is the first expression or first sentence जो यहाँ पे अभी बात कर रहे हैं. You can use this. It is some kind of trending. ये आप थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे आप जहन में रख सकते हैं. एक ही बार आपको रखना है जहन में, जब भी आप किससे फिर बात करेंगे and you want to conclude your conversation, then you can go for this very catchy line or this very catchy expression, because you have already learned. It need not to learn again and again. एक बार आपको याद होगी, फिर आपके मुंह से हमेशा निकलती रहेगी, and the other person will feel, no, the person is actually having good command at English, and also the another effect will be that he or she will feel, no, the person is very decent in talking or having conversation. So first we will use it was pleasure catching up with you. It was pleasure catching up with you. So I will go for an example. Let us have an example. How start? I am doing the twin role myself because I have no other body here, so I will talk. Here it will be good morning. Other person will say, a very good morning. How are you? I am fine. What are you doing here in this college or institute or school? Oh, I have to get admission in my next class. Oh, you are going to admit yourself. You are going to have admission in this very school. Yes, I am having. I need to have admission in my next class. That is 9th. Oh, very good. That is great. Okay, tell me, have you just got the formalities and all that, the forms? Yes, I have got all the forms and I just submitted it right now. Oh, that is quite good news. And what are you doing right now? Oh, nothing. Will can you just have a cup of coffee? Or not this time. I'm actually having some kind of urgent work at my home, so next time. Oh, और last में थोड़े से मैंने questions दे दिए जल्दी से जो मेरे दिमाग में आया. It was just a catchy situation. You can create it. And last में अब हमें यहाँ पे पहुँचना है और मैं उससे बोलूँगा यहाँ पे last में, oh, it was a pleasure catching up with you. और वो जो बंदा है वहाँ से he will again say same here, or it was same for me. So this line you can use at the end of conversation when you are going to depart, when you are actually going to conclude your conversation. Our next expression is here. अगर आपको लगता है नहीं ये ठीक नहीं है, ये याद नहीं रहेगा, then I have the simplest one जो use होता है. You can say it was nice talking to you or it was nice to meet you. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं it is most common or it is very easy and simple to remember. You can go for it was nice to meet you. Having all the conversation, having done all the things, you inquired about him, in which class he is or what was he doing here. You did all that, starting from the greetings for regarding Islamic or regarding that very particular time related to English. You then talked about him for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and lastly you used this expression second we are talking about. आप last में कहेंगे it was nice to meet you. But please keep in mind, I have already told told you in lecture 15 that facial expressions are most important when you are talking to somebody, because if you are talking to somebody, if you are having conversation with somebody and your facial expressions are not good, he or she might feel that the person is actually fake. He is not having that kind of real conversation with me. He's only just it is a show off to talk with me. So be careful when you are actually talking with somebody. You have to keep in mind that your facial expression should be as good as you are speaking. It should be as good, as lovely, as beautiful as your words you are using in your sentence. So please keep in mind, facial expression is very much important when we are actually talking with somebody. So with a smiling face, when we want to conclude our conversation, we have to go for it was nice to meet you. First we use it. अगर आप ये नहीं बोलना चाहते हैं, it was a pleasure catching up with you. It was a pleasure catching up with you. It was a pleasure catching up with you. Next it was nice to meet you. It was nice to meet you. And the third one, we have got the third one. इसके बाद तीसरा जो है, it was a wonderful experience to talk with you. It was a wonderful experience to talk with you. So I have got these three expressions. I will again go for जो भी आपको अच्छा लगे वो आप याद कर लीजिए. You just remember it once. ये एक ही बार एक ही लाइन जो आपको याद होगी, तो ये आप बार बार कह सकते हो जब भी आप किसी के साथ conversation करते हैं and you want to end. आप तीनों भी याद कर सकते हो. In different situations you can use these expressions differently. So that is not the case. You can just use them according to your ease, according to your comfort. So we talked about today how to end a conversation. अगर हमें एक बातचीत हमने start की lecture 15 में हमने सीखा, तो we had start it with the greetings, either Islamic greeting Assalamu alaikum, or with the time good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Then we have some, we would like to go for some questioning and all that. We will ask some question, or he might or she might come with some question and we will answer. And after 2, 3 or 5 or 10 minutes, we have to finally end that conversation. And today we are actually talking about how to end a conversation. So we talked about some 3 expressional sentences which are very good to use for ending a conversation. So number 1, it was, I am repeating it because you have to repeat it, you have to speak it, you have to keep it in your mind once and for all. You can use them in every ending conversation, every type of conversation. You might be talking, it might be a formal conversation, it might be an informal conversation, you might be talking with your friends, you might be talking with your teacher, you might be talking with somebody else, you might be knowing or not knowing. So these 3 expressions are totally, these fit everywhere. So just remember these. Remember only one of them. At least you can use that very expression or sentence in ending a very, very beautiful and pleasant conversation. So the first expression we learned today, it is, it was pleasure catching up with you. It was pleasure catching up with you. Again, it was pleasure catching up with you. Expression second, or the sentence second, which we can use to conclude or end a conversation is, it was nice to meet you. It was nice to meet you. It was nice to meet you. Again, I am saying that facial expressions will play an important role when you are actually conversating with somebody. So please be careful to have a very smiling face, have a warm gesture on your face when you are actually talking to somebody. And the third is here, we have got this very expression to end your conversation in a very beautiful manner. That is, it was a wonderful experience to talk with you. Again, I will go for repetition. It was a wonderful experience to talk with you. So dear guys, it was the 3 expressions which are most of time used by a person to end a very beautiful conversation. So today we were actually having the concluding part of this very topic. It was conversation. In lecture 15 we talked about how to start conversation and how about the greetings and all that, and today I talked about the ending of this very conversation. A conversation को आपको end कैसे करना है. Hopefully I do believe, dear friends, that talking about conversation, my aim is actually that you should start actually conversating in English. Unless and until you are not not going to talk in English. These all things will not happen. These all rules or these all tips will be totally, it will be all in vain. There won't be any good, I should say, benefit of all these things which I am just making you people to learn on this very board, unless and until you have got yourself to speak this very language. So most important thing, I believe that you might have been doing such activities with somebody, your friends or your siblings, but keep in mind you need to speak this very language, and unless and until you won't speak this very language, that is English, you are not going to learn. You might be learning rules, you might be learning tips and techniques, but it will take months and months and months and even years, but you will not be able to speak this very language. So the last I should say of today's tip is that start speaking from today, because we are in the lecture 16th. Now you are very much confident where to use is, am, was, where, do, does, have, has. There are other certain rules and other techniques and other phrases and all that. We will be learning that. And inshallah, each day we will be learning a new phrase, a new technique, a new tip for you people to just speak very fluent and accurate English flawlessly in any situation, at any place. But important thing is that you have to be with me. You have to start the practical aspect of this very language course, and the practical aspect is that you have to start speaking English. So if you are not having that very much time to come live on Zoom classes, that I might have helped you. You can have your friends, you can have your brother, sister, or your parents. You can just go, you can speak with them and just simply tell them, I am learning English language or English speaking skills. So nobody will offend, nobody will get offended, everybody will support you. Just simply and humbly tell them that I want a partner in conversation, I want to speak this very language because I want to learn this language. So everybody will help, everybody there will gonna help you. So this was all about today's topic. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will be meeting again at this very place, at this very channel, 7:30 AM live on this very channel. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.